When you shop at Walmart, you get it. Spend a little less on dorm must-haves.
8 a.m. class, 8 ounces of caffeine.
A room that finally feels just like home.
And create a space that's a little more you. With bedding from $5 and appliances from $9. Save money, live better. Walmart.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Stugotz, I have, over the course of the last 10 years, largely sat out anything that resembles a Kardashian conversation, as they have become royalty for our country, for better or for worse. Multiple billionaires in the family, because they've been able to traffic on the things that they can traffic in, that we can have all sorts of discussions about whether or not young girls have been harmed by some of the body image stuff that has happened around the Kardashian, the photoshopping of everything. But there are two items here from the weekend that I wanted to explore with you and the audience. One of them is TMZ reporting that Tristan Thompson is having no problem finding companionship on his trip to Greece, a getaway on the heels of news that he and Khloe Kardashian are expecting a baby together via surrogate. Now, Tristan Thompson has made himself as a name into one of the most famous names in basketball because of what happens in the vortex of this world, okay? NBA players and the culture of the NBA lives with this family, whether it's Kim Kardashian, marrying Chris Humphries, or Tristan Thompson coming out in and out of the life of Khloe in a way that makes a whole lot of people judge Khloe for always taking him back, when clearly there are photographs now of him with TMZ where he is not somebody who can be faithful. Like, what I associate with Tristan Thompson is that he simply refuses to be monogamous, and now they're expecting another baby. This, as a whole lot of people got mad at Kylie Jenner over the weekend because her and Travis Scott are showing off their private planes, and then people are doing internet searches, and you don't know whether she's taking 3 minutes flights to get around Los Angeles, and then all of a sudden people care about the climate. This is what it took. The climate collapse of our globe. It took the idea that she might be taking 3-minute flights. People don't know whether she was actually taking the flights or that's just a normal thing with plane repair and plane work. Regardless, her and Travis Scott are showing off their opulence, and Travis Scott is someone who owns a $5.5 million car, which is not something I thought existed.
Right.
Did you know that that existed? Did you know that there was such a thing as a $5.5 million car?
I mean, I imagine that there was, it seems possible and plausible that there would be a $5.5 million car out there.
I didn't think that F1 cars entered the realm of $5.5 million.
Those cars cost like hundreds of millions of dollars.
What was it, like a Bugatti or a McLaren?
Yes, something like that.
No, it's a Bugatti. Yeah. But I did not know there was a $5.5 million car. But what I wanted to ask you about is the Kardashians in general and this lifestyle that Tristan Thompson, this was too much for James Harden. James Harden visited this world and fled this world. Tristan Thompson, you would agree, this is all good for whatever it is that Tristan Thompson is trying to be, correct?
My daughters know, I guess, if you're looking to be, a well-known celebrity, my daughters know who Tristan Thompson is. They don't know who James Harden is.
But it's
they know who he is,
It's the ultimate test of Chris Cody's any publicity is good publicity theory, because being the face of marital infidelity is not exactly the kind of fame that one would like to acquire.
But no one knows if it's real or not. If it's for ratings, if the Kardashians are in on it. Like, don't you have your doubts about stuff like that, especially when it's being televised?
Yeah.
And ratings are important to them.
And you know how reality television is produced, and there's a lot of artifice there. But I still would imagine that a lot of that's probably unpleasant to open up your Instagram profile and see a bunch of comments of people ripping you to shreds for being in a photograph somewhere with a woman.
If this is the news of the moment, though, you can't be so indiscreet, can you? That you just walk out of a nightclub in Greece when you're him, and you know that the paparazzi and cameras are everywhere, holding hands with a woman who, from the back, looks like this family looks. It's not even just Because this has been something that has happened in this world too, where there are lookalikes that are.
Oh, are you alleging that there's a Kardashian stunt double? This was meant to be the Kardashian. What I am saying is that not only in some instances,
very dangerous game here.
What is the dangerous game I'm playing?
Well, you're essentially saying there's a girl that from
a woman,
someone out there that from the backside. Is built like a Kardashian and might be being used as a stunt double.
I was not suggesting there was a stunt double. I don't know how you guys left.
We all had the same reaction.
Are you saying that Tristan Thompson is a type? Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that.
Well, Dan, the way you said it was like, okay, we all know what he's saying here, but it was like I'm trying to read between the lines. But.
I am saying that this is a woman who from the back looks like a Kardashian.
Well, how about the front?
I was not Al Pacino in Heat saying she's got a great ass. I'm saying the hair is long. It's the whole thing. But regardless, can you be so indiscreet as to walk out of a nightclub holding hands with a woman and think, if you're Tristan Thompson, and you're probably in most nightclubs 6 or 7 inches taller than anybody else, that this is going to be photographed? Can it be an accident at this point?
I don't think it can. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't trust it at all. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't be this open about it if you're Tristan Thompson, if you were indeed trying to conceal it.
So you guys have Tristan agreeing to have this be the perception for the ratings.
They're doing a TV show.
The Kardashians are.
I know, but this is good for the Kardashians.
Yeah, but Tristan Thompson, so you're saying Tristan Thompson needs to take a big L here for this whole plot line that you guys think is all fake to work. Him just agreeing, you know what? I will be. For how many mil? I'll be the face of cheating.
I'm not certain that Tristan Thompson isn't in on the whole thing, yes.
I watched the show, so I'm a little defensive of this right now. I don't like what's happening right now.
I could tell.
I mean, Khloe's not an actress. These scenes where she's finding this out, I
am stunned to hear that you are watching this show.
It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I actually really enjoy it.
I want to hear more.
You think those tears, the tears are real? Is what you're saying? The emotion's real?
Stugotz, you don't watch this, and I'm not going to take your gas bag opinions. No, but as somebody, you're talking with a great deal of expertise, and the first place you arrive is it's all fake. Okay, fine. You can believe all of that without any information. That's fine. You like to do this. I want to talk about, as I send this photograph to Whittingham and Chris Cody from TMZ.
Hell yeah. Send it to me.
I just did. I want to talk about there is no way that Tristan Thompson can leave that nightclub holding hands when all he had to do was not hold hands. All he had to do leaving that club, and you can't say anything, is just walk out with just her or a group of people, whatever you want, just not hold hands. I don't believe... at that point, you don't care about the indiscretions. How can you care about the indiscretions in any way if all you had to do is not hold hands for those few seconds that you're walking outside the club?
Right.
No, he clearly doesn't care about it at all. I just don't understand where fitting in he is the face of marital infidelity. I sort of agree with Stugotz in a way. Who would sign up for that? Because if he's about to be a father of a surrogate child, that's a massive undertaking. And so I don't know how this couldn't be either the most flagrant cheating that has ever happened, where it's just don't give a shit, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, or it might be in on something. I mean, it's like part of a television storyline.
He is in Greece, in his mind, maybe he's like, all right, it can go.
No, he
knows.
Where
can we go? Let's go somewhere
he knows.
Even if paparazzi there doesn't know, they'd find out.
Yes.
Look, he's an idiot.
That could be it.
No, I refuse.
He's got a problem.
No, I refuse to believe those. I'm not running with either of those. I believe somehow, some way, he's in on this. He benefits from it somehow, some way. I mean, listen, he's become infinitely more famous doing this than he was playing basketball with LeBron James.
Well, way I don't know the timeline of all this. The way the season 1 ended, and I know this makes it all seem fake, the fact that this is where their season crescendoed. But season 1 ended with her finding out that he had done so. The way season 1 ended, they're done. So they could be just... He cheated a few months back, and then it aired, and now they're actually separated right now.
There was a terrible ripoff here of reality television smut, South Beach Towing, was a thing, and I think perhaps in its original incarnation it was real, and I'd like to watch a show that would be like Cops about those thieves that are running tow truck companies down here and just yanking people away and getting into fights and need bulletproof glass because in Miami you don't do that to the wrong person. But I saw scripted happening at a cafe where I was, a South Beach towing episode that was the cheapest version of this. The Kardashian version is the most enduring and best reality television show we've ever had. It's birthed multiple billionaires, Stugotz, because no one has dominated this stupid space like this family has. So I wouldn't put it past them to do some of this stuff better than it's been done, because they're competing against every other reality television show, and they've got to stay current. And they've got to have TMZ taking the stories because they're that kind of relevant, because Tristan Thompson is holding hands with somebody in Greece. But I don't know if this is extraordinarily well done, or they and we are so stupid that all of it is the vortex that we deserve in 2022 as an entertainment option to keep giving these people these private jets and everything else that they can afford, because we can't stop watching this candy crud.
Well, this show has always talked about the Kardashians in the abstract because none of us actually watched the nonsense.
I can't believe
However,
that Chris Cody,
we didn't realize that within our midst we have an expert. So Chris, can you give us some insight on how authentic you feel it is as a viewer of this program? Would you be betrayed if this were not real?
I would be betrayed, and I genuinely think that this is real. The way they deal with it, and I know this could all be fake, but the way they're like, she kicks camera, like they'll be in the middle of filming something, and like it comes up what they just found, and they'll like kick cameras out, and then 3 hours later, it's like, okay, now I'll, like, yes, we saw some pictures of Tristan, and like Kim is like literally in tears. Like, I just don't think these people
what sells it, man.
They're not good actors, though. This is
why wouldn't they be though? They've been at this for 15 years.
Right.
The first episode of the show premiered in October of 2007.
Why, you want to believe in this?
I just no. Obviously, I'm not saying that there aren't plot lines that they're like, oh, we should follow this. Like, I'm not. It's obviously a reality show, but I don't think Tristan Thompson has agreed. You know what? Having never cheated on you, but this is a good storyline. I will just be known as the worst cheater in all of sport. I was gonna say sports, but the free world.
But it's a story.
I don't know where I went there.
Okay,
that was weird.
No, I mean,
but it's a storyline, and a storyline that certainly fits within what they've done for 15 years.
I am going to side, though he's an oaf who just recently.
I feel so bad. He feels like he's watching something that's real.
But I feel bad that you continue to think you have more expertise about something you know nothing about.
Dan, why would he walk out of a club holding someone's hand? He's not even trying to conceal it.
There are other options, okay? It's not just that he behaves in the most nefarious of fashions. It could be that he's an idiot. It could be that he is somebody who didn't know he was going to be photographed. It could be that he does not care about how his infidelities are seen.
At this point, it's almost reaching like sociopathic behavior, like just a sociopathic not giving a shit about infidelity. That like you've almost convinced yourself that it's not even that big of a deal. Or, as Chris pointed out, the season 1 cliffhanger of the new Hulu version of the show is maybe they're separated, and we just don't know.
I think the news just came out that she's expecting a child that's his, and so that's why people are freaking out, but I don't think they're together at this moment.
We will learn more as this goes on. I am, though, wondering, instead of wondering whether it's fake or not, Khloe Kardashian again and again, quote unquote, taking him back when he is a serial offender in the most public of fashions in a way that allows us, not unlike with what people do with these housewives shows, they're just evolutions of what Jerry Springer was once upon a time. You get to feel better about your own life by judging. Really, they exist just so that you can judge them. So you can spend the time as art. It's the new art. Let's figure out in the eye of the beholder what I can judge here as this is terrible for a relationship and everything else. And I think what Khloe gets is both the sympathy and the pity of what a cliche this NBA athlete is, what an asshole this person is, that he continues to embarrass her, and we can then judge this person that he loves, her love, as being something that's about her self-worth as she tries, as these women now cut themselves up to physically look different, Photoshop themselves and get mad at the people who photographed them in their family and release non-Photoshopped stuff. Khloe Kardashian doesn't look like the same human being that she looked like 10 years ago because the standard of beauty that they're dealing with doctors is something that is a bit of a poison for young women, that she would again and again be willing to be humiliated.
Well, in season 1, anytime the Tristan stuff comes up and like, what's the status of your relationship? It's she's always talking about him trying to get help. Like basically the storyline was, if we're gonna get back together, you need to stay in therapy. Like he was doing work in actual work, so like acknowledging there's an actual problem. So that's why it's actually kind of sad that if that's true about him actually working on himself and then falling off, there's almost a sadness to it. It's like he's clearly, unless this is all fake, like Stugotz says, he's legitimately got a problem.
Her love is giant, correct? As it's portrayed on the show, her love for him is giant and unending. She forgives everything, whatever his hardships are. She forgives. You tell me, because I'm not watching.
Not forgiving, like there was a point at the beginning of season 1 where they weren't actually together. They were co-parenting, their relationship was improving, and Tristan wanted to get back with her, and she was just like, we're not there yet. He's still working on himself. Like they were working towards getting back together, and then they got back together, and then he cheated again.
Is that not a common theme throughout some of these?
No, the theme is he cheats, he tries to fix it, she tries to find forgiveness, he works on himself, goes to therapy, and then does it again. He just can't stop doing it. It honestly, if it's true, it makes me sad.
I just came to the realization of how little I give a fuck about this show.
I'm telling you, the show is not that bad, man. And you do the thing where, it's like what the Kardashians have done is bad for women. I think that they're like, the surgery stuff. You're right. Like that's a slippery slope. But they've done they built an empire.
Right.
These things that you're accusing these basketball players of agreeing to be like, oh, if you want, all right, Tristan, become the most.
This has not ruined his life, though, Tristan. It is not. I mean, Kristen hasn't ruined his life.
Stugotz, you can question, and you are not the only one doing this. You can question again and again whether all of it is fake or not. But let's assume, and you can question whether all of reality television is fake or not. But let's assume for a moment that there's some element of truth in this, or if the volume is turned up and there's some hyperbole, the starting point is that these two entities that are giant, NBA players and these women, have merged in a way that has increased the fame and endurance of that television show and has increased the fame of those basketball players who visit that world and then are in the world or the space that the NBA doesn't usually reach, which is Kylie Jenner's makeup world. And now the two fuse, and it's been for a long time, okay, whether it's stylistically in hip hop or basketball or anywhere else, going back to the beeper as a status symbol, the dating of each other ends up helping everyone's brand. In the new age of brand, when the Kardashians rule brand, are you kidding me? With 15 years atop this competitive game in the content sphere, yes, these women are monster successes. But this does not mean that in the success, I cannot criticize what they're doing for the images of young girls who look at what Instagram and social media fame is and say, does my body need to look like that? That when Tristan Thompson leaves the club, I sent you guys the photograph. Are you telling me that is doing, what is he doing there when he is leaving the club with a woman who photographed from the back is meant to give off whatever the body image that the Kardashians are surgically achieving to tell young women everywhere, here's how you can get to fame and money and riches. You can look like me. You can look as perfect as me, no matter the surgical help you need to do it, while your self-worth gets trampled and your love gets trampled by a man who continuously embarrasses you in public. And we as viewers continue to lap it up because let's see how Khloe gets embarrassed in this episode. Let's see how her love gets betrayed here so we can feel better about our love and our dignity and our self-worth, because we would never keep taking him back. That hound can't be trusted. Why are you such a fool? Why? It's not because of the charm and the gullibility of love. Why are you such a fool? Why don't you
gullibility of us?
Why don't you respect yourself more than to take that guy back when we should be focusing the light pretty harshly on him. I think people are doing that, but she loves him, and he's a disgrace. And
the father of her child.
They're raising children together, and he can't stop embarrassing her in public. Can't stop it. Clearly can't stop it. Like, if he could stop, I don't think that this man, if he's raising children with her, is purposely harming her again and again, but something's happening there that just doesn't compute.
Right. That's why it makes me sad, because there's obviously a darkness he's dealing with, a sadness. Something's going on there.
It's a television show. That's what's happening. I mean, that's why people have a hard time computing what's going on, because you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. But I'm with Roy.
But Chloe, it's the father of her child. You think she's going to want to, hey, just for the storyline, let me just ruin the father of my child's name forever.
If they had an unbumpy, rosy relationship that never had ups and downs like this, do you think you'd be glued to your television every week watching it?
It's all a crock. It's all fake.
Stu, where can I watch this show?
Hulu.
Everywhere. Isn't it everywhere?
Stugotz here for my friends over at SimpliSafe. Around here, we talk a lot about the importance of good defense on the field or court. But what about defending your own home turf? Pretty important, huh? We believe home should be the safest place on earth for every family, which is why I use and recommend SimpliSafe Home Security. SimpliSafe is advanced whole home security that puts you, your home, and your family's safety first. Here's why I love it. Easy to install. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And I love to be able to keep an eye on my driveway to see what packages are coming up, keep an eye, see when the kids get home, when I'm away. I love SimpliSafe. It is amazing. SimpliSafe offers comprehensive protection, not only against intruders and burglary, but against expensive home hazards from flooding to fires with 24/7 professional monitoring. SimpliSafe's agents take action the moment a threat is detected. You can customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at SimpliSafe.com/DLB. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring. Again, that's SimpliSafe.com/DLB.
Dan Le Batard.
Are you back on the caffeine? Are you back on the Red Bull?
Something's wrong. Yeah.
I mean, see, we are. Something's wrong.
I mean, it's unbelievable how manic he is, and he sort of just he keeps chewing on his bottom teeth in a way that's scaring me a little bit.
Stugotz.
I've been up since 5:30 a.m. producing content, and in terms of being able to be on, my body needs a little boost. And that's why I turned to cocaine.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We're presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code Dan for a special offer when you sign up. That's code Dan, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Let's bring Ricky Williams into what it is that we were doing here and what it is we were talking about regarding the Kardashians, because he is asking us to live a better and deeper life. Ricky comes on here every week and says, let go of some of the cotton candy and see if you can find some more substance in your life. I'm curious, over 15 years, Ricky, watching the Kardashian empire blossom and America get the royal family it deserves with fame and celebrity and nonsense, what you make of the Kardashian saga and America's fascination with the Kardashians.
Well, I think when I think of public figures in general, and I think that, they're the epitome of status, I think whether they like it or not, public figures are symbolic and represent things. And I think when you get caught up in the zeitgeist, you represent kind of the status quo, which is great when you want to maintain the status quo. But I think in times of change, I think it's important to have symbols, people of status that can help us get through times of change. And, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the world, and I'm not sure that whatever the Kardashians symbolize in the current state is really helping us to deal with it.
I don't know how much you do in the way of judginess or how much you aspire to not being judgy, but you would not disparage the Kardashians, correct?
No, not at all. I think what they're doing is great, but the same way that I push you, I would push them Like same way I push myself is to use the platform, however large, however whatever, for something meaningful. And if capitalism or whatever they represent is really meaningful to them and that's what they're putting out in the world, I think that's amazing.
But also, we were having a conversation specifically about the infidelity that's happened between Tristan Thompson and Khloe Kardashian. And last week we had a conversation about infidelity, about the relationship that people have with their partners and making decisions for you from afar. Not that I imagine you're tracking the movements of Tristan Thompson, but from afar, when people struggle with monogamy, what do you see there?
He can't stop cheating on her, and publicly she keeps getting embarrassed by his infidelities that seem unusually public.
Who's cheating on who in this situation?
He is cheating on her. Tristan Thompson.
She is cheating on herself.
Why do you say that?
Because to me, if I'm choosing to stay in a relationship, whatever reasons or justifications I have that keep resulting in the same result, that doesn't make me happy, I'm not being true. I'm not honoring myself by choosing to stay in that relationship. And if you choose to not honor yourself, you're going to attract situations where you're not honored. And that's not going to change until a person makes a choice. So this whole idea of being cheated on, it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
So you're saying this is basically a fool me once, fool me twice situation.
Well, I'm saying, what are you signed up for? If you're going to keep calling it cheating and keep being upset that it keeps happening, either do something different or look at it a different way.
There is a kid involved.
Open up the relationship.
There's
something involved that's trying to express itself in the relationship that's not getting space. If you give it space, it'll express differently than in a way that ends up in humiliation.
There is a kid involved, though, and I think a lot of the work she's doing and forgiveness that she's found is for the kid. She's at least trying, I think.
So I'm sorry. That's not fair to kids to justify our suffering for the kids. Anyone doing that, stop. It's not fair to the kids. It's a lot to put on a kid. I'm going to be miserable because of you. Really?
But I also do wonder, though, for people who are in relationships in which they've been cheated on multiple times, I imagine it's because there is a deeper love there. There is some you still hold on to the hope that this person is the love of your life.
Oh, Ricky is rolling his eyes because he did start this with saying whatever your justifications are.
Exactly, because so many people I think the word love, people need to stop using it because I don't think people understand what it means. Love is something that's supposed to feel good. So any justification you have using love of something that doesn't feel bad, that's not love. It's not.
Something that doesn't feel good, you meant, right? Any justification?
Right. Because the whole point of love is it feels good. So if someone says I'm staying in a bad relationship because of love, that's not love. It's not.
But
it might be a memory. It might be a memory of love, but
so it's insanity.
Oh my God.
Is there not a cliche though that work is hard and I imagine you work on your relationship. Obviously that working on relationship is a little bit different than infidelity, but love is not always easy.
But of course, but it's not easy because we don't have good training around feeling good. If people were trained to value what feels good, love would be really easy. Really, really easy.
Tell us about the training you're talking about there, Ricky, because there's somewhere else I wanted to go with you. I believe that you have some life wisdoms from what it is that you have experienced, and Russell Brand is out here selling something that is moving people and is larger than just entertainment. And I wanted to ask you about him in a second, but explain what you're talking about there. Training on why do we have bad training on accepting what feels good?
Why? If I had to say why, I would say it probably originates in the main group that originated this country, or what we call Americans, were Puritans, and so that philosophy, whether we're conscious of it or not, is underneath and at the base of what we are, and on top of that Puritanism is Christianity. And Christianity, the whole story, right, is if you feel good, you're going to get kicked out of the garden.
There is a lot of guilt in religion. That's where I would have tied the roots to some of this for, like, when I say the training around not feeling good.
It's not religion, because if you go to India, in their religion, different religions have different ways that they approach things. And specifically the puritanical Catholicism, Christianity is like its specialty is to make feeling good a sin. And so deep at the core of us, right, we have this association between feeling good and going to hell, right? That's why we associate love with not feeling good, right? And it comes out in all of its different myriad of ways.
What is the religion you most associate with?
The religion of the stars.
Segueing neatly into the charts that you have been sent this week, you've never been somebody who has praised this so much. But before we get to the list of people we sent you, I did want to ask you about Russell Brand, because he is giving off some life coach stuff. He is somebody that is getting very popular in this realm.
Yeah.
And my question to you was, what do you think of him, his style?
I think it's mentally stimulating. Yes. But I think again, I haven't interacted with a lot. You know, Linnea went through a period where she had him on the YouTube a lot. So I was listening to it, but I haven't in the past couple of months really been into it. So saying that, my sense was it's really mentally stimulating. Where he kind of turned me off is when all the Joe Rogan stuff came up and he wasn't as neutral. You know, and my whole thing is, if you're going to like play that neutral, informative role, I'm not going to tell you what to think, right? It's not real. You know, I get it, but what I believe is, and this is something that I've been wrestling with, is I think in life, in order to be happy, you do have to take a stance and you do have to believe in something. And so if the direction he's going in coaching is really taking a stance in what he believes and giving people, you know, a potential like worldview or a way to make sense of the world, then I'm all for it.
Dan, how do you feel about that impartiality judgment there, that like you have to take a point of view because in theory you're very protective of journalism and the role that media has to play, and the job would like for you to be neutral, but it can be very difficult sometimes.
Ricky was always pushing me to break the rules of journalism and not be confined by rules that are somebody else's standard, because objectivity is an illusion. We can aspire to it, but I don't think that any of us achieve it. It's soaked in biases. I don't think of Russell Brand as neutral, although he doesn't seem to be, you know, flying too far left or too far right. I just think he does fall in love with the sound of his own voice a whole lot.
And that is for damn sure.
You were saying, Ricky?
Well, I wasn't gonna. I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that, but I will say that that's something that I also picked up. Well,
you're not judgmental at all. There's a bit of ego in what it is that he's doing, and if you're going to do that stuff, I'd like it to have less ego. I think, but I understand.
But I'm saying more because you can't do something and have less ego, because the ego is a reality, and if you have less ego, it will make its head seen, and that's the issue. I think is he's not owning his perspective. He's pretending to not have an ego, and so it comes out even more because he has to talk more to prove that he doesn't have an ego, where to me, ego is not a bad thing. It's, you know, it's about embracing it. Ego is like how we shine. It's how we know who we are. It's how we accomplish anything in the world. That's why it's important to take a stance. I feel like people are so afraid to take a stance.
Let's go ahead and go through the stars with you here, which we gave you accurate birth information. You were fascinated. You were mesmerized by everything that was thrown your way. So here are the items for the audience. Boris Johnson, Al Pacino, Novak Djokovic, Tiger Woods. Which did you like?
I had birth times on all. It was like, oh, this is a treat. I chose Tiger. And if I'm being honest, a lot of these that I choose are for personal reasons. You know, there's certain athletes or certain people I've wanted to say something about, but I didn't have the platform or the courage. And now I have a platform and I have a little bit more courage, and I feel confident because I have the chart. I have the chart to support what I'm saying. All right. So where I feel that my story and Tiger's story interact is, my favorite Tiger Woods moment was the press conference after all the stuff went down with him and his first wife.
Your
and he
favorite? That's crazy. I felt so bad for him. That's your favorite moment?
Yeah.
More than that chip on 16?
It was my favorite moment because he started talking about his meditation practice. He started talking about his meditation practice. And like from the outside, when you just see Tiger winning, you don't see like what is the secret sauce. And that was like the first time I saw him reveal part of like who he really was.
He was broken, though. He was broken in front of us, hugging his mother. The country was demanding contrition from him. He had this image to protect. Like that seemed to be his lowest public moment.
This is where I feel like I relate. Maybe not to the same extreme, but I feel like I had a similar moment in my life. And I was at that same place of realizing I needed meditation. I needed to like connect to some spiritual truth. And I did. And so I thought, wow, he's going to connect to some larger purpose. And I was like, yeah. And then he just came back and he was like trying to be like golf Tiger again. And I was like, dude, like, you know, like, what are you doing? You know? And I don't mean personally to him. I mean, sometimes when we're given gifts to be successful, if we get stuck in only making that success for ourselves, then we typically like fall. When we realize that the success we have is for a platform to do something larger, and we engage our energies into doing something larger, then we transcend our need to be good at hitting a ball or a golf or catching a ball. We transcend the need to just be what we physically have to offer. And I think that's a trajectory that we all go through, but specifically it's forced on athletes because we get to the point where our bodies just can't perform the same way. But for me, I look at my football career and the experiences I went through in football were giving me the necessary mental and emotional skills I needed to do something larger. And I feel like the universe is trying to like send this message to Tiger and saying like, it's not the outer Tiger that's really of value. It's what you've learned through going through all of these experiences. And if he's willing to share that, then I think people are going to love him even more than if, you know, how many strokes under par he is.
He's so guarded, though. What do you see in his chart that suggests, is he doing things counter to what the stars suggest he should be doing?
Well, it's not counter. The stars don't really suggest what we should be doing. They more give us a sense of the story and how it could play out, the different versions. So when you say he's guarded, okay, his sun, right? The sun is how we shine, okay? It's our identity. It's our ego, okay, who we are. His sun is in the 4th house. And in a chart, the 4th house is the bottom of the chart. It's buried, okay? 2 things. 1, people with suns in the 4th house, right, tend to be more personal, private people, right? Capricorn, okay? My wife has a Capricorn moon, same degree as his sun, actually. And when she's emotional, I call her Fort Myron because ain't no one getting in there, okay? Right? So very much a private person. Also interesting is the 4th house is related to the father, okay? And Tiger's got both his moon and his sun in the 4th house. And so we already know the story, but this says, like, father played a huge role in his life, okay? But the sun and the moon in his chart are 2 very different signs, okay? Like I said, Capricorn is hard work, right? Seriousness, right? Stay focused, eye on the prize. Okay, I'm a machine, okay? The moon, right? Our more sensitive side is in Sagittarius, right? Taking risks, going for it, right? The need to explore, right? These 2 energies are like they have tension with each other. He's got both of them inside of him, right? And he saw both in his father, right? We respect our father, but he saw his father drinking and doing stuff, right? And so both of those parts are inside of him, and like wrestling with what parts to show and what parts not to show, right? When you try to hide parts of yourself that are really there, eventually they come out into the public, right? And the purpose of them coming out is an opportunity to stop hiding, okay? And he had that opportunity. In my sense is he didn't utilize it because my sense is too busy trying to prove something.
Anything else in the chart you find interesting?
Well, I really like summarized everything. What I find interesting is the main trigger in his chart, the loudest voice in his chart right now that jumped out to me is Mercury. Okay. And Mercury is the planet of communication speed. It's the planet of learning. And so when people going through Mercury times, what I say is the universe is trying to send you a message. Okay. Right. But the trick is in a Mercury time, the message is something that we're not accustomed to hearing. Right. Because any learning is new information. Right. So, if I'm sitting across from Tiger, I'm saying, whatever's going on right now in your life, whatever's coming up for you, it's a message. Right. Ask yourself, right? What is the universe trying to tell me right now?
Ricky, I have a question here, and I always wondered this. What exactly is a Capricorn? Like, we know a Cancer is a crab, Pisces is a fish, or whatever. What is a Capricorn? What is a Sagittarius? What are these things?
A Capricorn is it's a mythical animal. It's a sea goat, and the idea is the goat. Right. This is really interesting. If you're a Capricorn, watch a documentary on goats. All right. Because what you see is goats, they go to the highest peak. Right. Right. And so Capricorns tend to want to climb, to be successful. Right. And one of the reasons they go to the highest peak is because all the other predators don't want to go up there. Right. So this idea of it's lonely at the top. Okay. It's Capricorn. Right. Dan's got a lot of Capricorn in his chart. Okay. It's the ability to get something done, to accomplish. And so the goat means climbs to the highest peak, but also it's a mythical animal. So it's a part fish. So it can swim to the lowest part. So Capricorn is really about accomplishment.
So Tom Brady is a Capricorn.
I'm going to make a documentary
he's not a Capricorn, but he has Saturn, which is the planet associated with Capricorn. He's got Saturn next to it.
He was making a goat joke, though. He's the greatest of all time. I think I'm going to make a...
But it's true, though. It's true. Like that, the planet that's associated with Capricorn, Saturn, is next to Tom. The greatest of all time, the goats, they're going to have strong Capricorn or strong Saturn energy. Because if you don't have that energy, you don't have what it takes to be great. Because it does require eye on the prize, dedication, putting aside pleasures and stuff sometimes to make sure you get the job done.
You have said that you have not read a chart of anybody that is more specifically doing exactly what he should be doing than Tom Brady, but I cannot wait for Meadowlark Media to partner with Ricky Williams to make a goat documentary for Capricorn.
The animal, though, not the chicken.
Yes, honestly, we could do we could do documentaries for each of the signs. That's a really good idea. I think sports is a great way to show how these astrological energies manifest in life.
I saw a great horror film the other day, and I don't say that very often. I believe the name of it was Lamb, and it was creepy as hell, and it was just lambs.
I wish that Stugotz was here, because when you said make a documentary about goats, he would have said, The Last Dance already exists, buddy.
See you later, Ricky. We will talk to you again next week when we will talk to you more about Fort Myron. I want to hear I want to hear how hard it is to traverse Fort Myron.
Oh, okay. I can't wait.